I know I said last time that the audio was pretty messed up for the rest of the series, and it still is. But not only that is one of the cameras didn't record properly, so yeah, I still think it's a pretty good discussion. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, and let's jump into it. So, we just finished watching Happy Together, movie 5. I just want to say real quick, we are 2 for 5 on discs actually working properly. So, there's definitely some major disc issues with this set. I did already get my replacements from Criterion, so that's awesome. But if you have this set, you might want to make sure your stuff is good, because yeah, some major issues. But anyway, I thought it was pretty good. What do you think?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was
Limb hair, just sticking up like a needle.
it was a little unexpected because I did not expect, considering the age of the film, that it was going to be an LGBTQ film.
Yeah, that was a little surprising when it just starts off. So the film is basically about two characters, Ho Wing and Faye, we're pronouncing that right, who are two lovers in kind of a toxic relationship.
An extremely toxic relationship, and they are both toxic.
Yeah, they're both toxic, and you know, it's kind of the film's kind of about you know, to me, they even say in the film that lonely people are all the same, and I think the film is for Faye to move on. He had to realize that it's not Po's all of his fault. It's kind of he's kind of in the wrong too. I think that's what he started. I think becoming happy because I think he kind of realized maybe his own faults.
I think I kind of took something a little different from it. I felt like he had to realize that being alone doesn't mean you are technically lonely, and that sometimes being alone is better than being with the wrong person.
I definitely got that too out of it. And then you just kind of get Ho-Po's character at the end, who's spoiler, I guess. Have we spoiled any of these movies yet?
I'm sure we have, but I don't remember specifically.
But I thought it was really strong at the end of it that Ho-Po's character's kind of like stuck in that, wanting to be back in that relationship. Like he's like hung up on it, where the other one kind of got to move on. I thought that was a really strong point at the end.
Yeah, I also like kind of where Ho Wing, like you said, kind of realized what he was missing out on. At the opposite of the relationship was Faye, who recognized that he doesn't have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, this is one that, like, the story is pretty. So a lot of these movies so far, the stories have been kind of, I don't know if I would call them anything like, you know, puzzled or anything like that, but they definitely felt a little bit more layered. Or this one kind of felt to me a little bit more like straightforward on the relationship aspect, I guess. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of like, it's like when we're talking about the story, it's kind of just about a toxic relationship and that's it.
I think the story was about development between the characters.
It is, but I'm saying like when you're, like we're sitting here talking about it, I feel like I'm like, maybe it's because I'm tired, but like, I feel like I'm having a hard time like of thinking of things to say about the story. Because the thing I liked about this movie the most was on the more of the technical side. I really enjoyed the cinematography here. It didn't have that style that we've seen in the past where he uses a lot of that frame rate chopping. I mean, it's here. It's definitely not, you know, it's definitely not gone, but it's much more minimal. But then he also uses different like color shifts and stuff. I think we were talking about like why would he jump from black and white to color and stuff, and I think he did that to emphasize maybe a certain tone or emotion that the character's feeling maybe at the time. And I liked a lot of the camera movements. It was kind of had that Fallen Angels where it's definitely pretty handheld, but it's kind of smoother than what some of his other films have been. And I think on a technical side, I like the way this film is shot. I like some of the blocking they used, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack of this. It's not. It's a little like these past couple movies. He's been shifting up his soundtrack choices, I think, quite a bit. And I really enjoyed the original score that was, or I'm assuming original score that was thrown throughout this movie.
I was kind of on a different aspect. I enjoyed more of the characters. I think this was the first time he did a movie where the characters weren't just black and white. Like, this is 100% the bad guy. This is the person you're rooting for. Both these people were complex. Both these people were you were rooting for them in one way, you were mad at them, you were, like, you could you could like and dislike both characters at the same time because there was so much depth to them.
Yeah, they're definitely like pretty rich characters. I think. I guess my problem is when it came to connecting with them is, both these people are pretty toxic in their relationship together, and I don't know. I guess it's not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm having a hard time like putting thought together today. I don't know. Like I said, I'm brain fried today.
Is that the box? Is that from this movie? Because I know both of the leads were in previous movies, so I wasn't 100% sure.
It looks like it. Because Faye was a heavy smoker throughout the movie, so.
Yeah, both Faye and Puig were both in previous Wong Kar-Wai movies.
Yeah. What one was Faye in?
Faye was in. They were both in. The one that's got Wild in the title.
Days of Being Wild.
They were both in Days of Being Wild, but Puig was Yuddy, so he was one of the main characters.
Okay.
I do believe he was in one. Faye was in one more of his movies, but off the top of my head, I do not remember.
Yeah, I've noticed Wong Kar will kind of reuse a lot of actors throughout, but it was also kind of interesting to see a movie not shot in China this time around. The majority of the film, they're immigrants in Argentina, right? That's where they were, right? I'm pretty sure.
Argentina, yes. Where specifically? I can't remember.
But yes, that was kind of interesting. You can kind of see throughout the manipulation that Ho Wing had on Faye, and it was pretty apparent, like right out of the beginning of the film, of like how toxic that relationship is. And so you spend most of the time with Faye as you go throughout the film, and you're kind of I don't know if I wouldn't say I would necessarily rooting for him, but you're kind of hoping better for him, because once Ho Wing disappears for a while, I mean, he really spirals there for a minute, and maybe that's why I'm having a hard time connecting, is because maybe it's a little somewhat familiar, so I don't want to connect with it. Maybe.
Yeah, I was more of a fan of Faye than I was Puig. Is Puig or Puig? Wing.
It's Hopo Wing.
Yeah, but they always just called him Puig in the movie.
I think that. I think they just called him Puig. Yeah.
Okay. I connected. I don't want to say rooting, because like you said, they were both toxic in their own right. But I was rooting more for Faye. And I think it's because Faye was the only one that attempted to move on. Not that he did a great job at it, but he was the only one that was willing to leave the relationship without stringing someone on.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he might have been going for when he got to the end of it, where Po Wing is. I mean, he's literally like, he moved
exactly
into the apartment. Yeah, he's exactly where he started. Which is funny, because I guess now I think about it, Po Wing's character the entire movie just kept wanting to start over. and start over and start over and start over, because their relationship would get to a really bad point. So he'd want to start over, and that he moves into the apartment that Faye moved out of. So it's kind of weird.
Whereas Faye didn't necessarily want to start over so much as he wanted to move on. Even if, rather or not, it was with Puig, but neither really got what they wanted, but also exactly got what they wanted.
Yeah, I mean it's a solid movie. It kind of lumps into that category. Like for me, it's a nice solid movie, and there's good section. Maybe it's because, like I said, I'm not here today mentally, but it's one of those ones where it's like it's not my favorite we've seen so far of his. It's definitely not his worst by any means, even though I know when we go to put it in our list, it's going to be spoiler a little bit more toward the bottom for me. But when you're looking at like Fallen Angels or Chungking Express, or even As Tears Go By, I guess I like a little bit more of the over-the-top nature that some of those carry, where this one, it feels like, compared to the other films of his we've seen so far, a lot more subtle. It's a lot more about that human connection that I think he was going for with Chungking Express. But with Chungking Express, he also leaned into some absurdity and some humor, things like that, where this one's played pretty straight-laced, drama romance, I guess. I don't know if you'd throw in the romance category, but drama.
I would say it's romance, but not healthy.
Yeah.
Romance with an asterisk.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. You have anything else to say about it?
I would put it at top of my list.
Oh, it's your number one?
It's
so
my number
you really
one.
dug it, huh?
Well, if we've learned anything, I'm more about my connection with the film than how it looks.
Yeah, I'm bad about giving points to style. I'll admit that.
I don't know, the characters, they felt very human. They felt very real. They were flawed. You could connect to them. And I don't know, something about it, I genuinely connected with the film.
Good. Like I said, maybe it had to do a little bit of like not wanting to connect with the film because of some of the beats along to it.
Too surreal.
Yeah, I think all of us could probably say that though at some point in our lives. But outside of that, like the characters themselves, I think are, in terms of as a character, are interesting, and their dynamics are inherently kind of compelling. And even though, like we said, Faye's kind of also bad, you're kind of rooting for him because he's somewhat wanting to change or have a change in his life. But like I said too, it might just be the day because, like I said, I feel brain fried. We were sitting here watching this, and I got to a point where I was like it has nothing to do with the film. I was just having a hard time like holding my eyes open and had to like kind of move around a little bit just because that's just where I'm at today as a day. But I mean, it's good. Like I said, talk about like style points and stuff. This is not anywhere near as stylized as some of his other films, but it's in that reserve of his stylization that I think benefited this film because it is a great looking film. It's got a great visual style to it. It has some of those trademarks of Wong Kar-Wai, but it's not over the top and it's not overdone, and it's done to a point to really service the story and the tone that I think he was going for. To me though, like I'm probably at a 7 out of 10 with this one. I think is where I'm at with it.
I'd probably give it a 9.
9? Nice. So for me, this is your number one then currently, right?
Yes.
So what's your order so far out of these 5 movies?
So it would be this one, which is Happy Together.
Mm-hmm.
The one after Chungking Express.
Fallen Angels.
Fallen Angels, yes.
Last time.
Chungking Express. what was the first one we
As
watched?
Tears Go By.
As Tears Go By, and Something About the Wild.
Days of Being Wild.
Days of Being Wild.
So mine would be still probably Chungking Express, Fallen Angels, As Tears Go By, Happy Together, and then Days of Being Wild. So we have 2 movies left. I know the next one's In the Mood for Love, but now that we're rounding this back end of this box set, what are your kind of thoughts a little bit on Wong Kar-Wai as a director?
I like his style because when I read a little snippet about him, and it said that his style was vivid colors, which I do think he likes using like one vivid color, but I wouldn't say it's vivid colors. He likes using accent colors.
I think he likes using heavy saturation.
Yeah.
And he films in a lot of places that just has natural. I mean, I'm not saying he shoots with natural light, but he films in locations that look like they would have that natural. Like, because he films in a lot of like slummy-ish areas with there's a lot of neon lights and stuff that would just come natural to the areas that he's filming in. So I don't know, because when I think of like someone who uses vivid colors, what? Am I going on a tangent?
I was literally like trying to talk about.
Sorry.
No, so like my point was I wouldn't really say that's what he should be known for. Because I think what he really should be known for is like, I don't even know how to explain it, but he really focuses on connection between people. Like, and it's how, like, your 7 degrees of a person or how you connect with one individual. He really kind of gets the sense of the world being small because all these people just kind of are interconnected. Yeah,
that's been an ongoing theme throughout all of his movies we've seen in this box set. Is every movie is basically, if you boil it down to just something simple, every movie is kind of about the human connection.
And I like it. It's grounding.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think vivid colors would describe. I mean, like, he is stylized and he has some stylization, but like what I was saying when I rudely and toxically went on a tangent was when I think of someone who uses vivid colors, I think of someone like Nicholas Winding Refn, who necessarily doesn't film in areas that would be as drenched in saturation of like reds and blues and stuff like that, like Wong Kar-Wai is shooting in. So Refn to me is someone who uses vivid colors and pretty effectively. But that's the kind of style I would think of, where Wong Kar-Wai has a lot of those same color lines, a lot of that heavy saturation, but I think it comes more organically. Where Refn, I think, is trying to set up more of a tone or emotional response out of it. That's me personally. That's my opinion.
See, when I think vivid colors, it might be the same director. I can't ever keep directors straight. The one that did the Darjeeling.
Oh, you're thinking of Wes Anderson.
Yeah, he loves vivid colors, and he does it like Papa color style.
Yeah, he loves like pastels and stuff,
yeah.
And he does use a lot of a wide variety of colors to enhance like emotion and stuff like that.
But yeah,
I would agree with that too.
It's kind of the same thing. It's the difference between placing the colors in versus having the colors placed there organically.
Yeah, I don't see Wong Kar, and I could be wrong on this, and if I am wrong, that's kind of impressive on its own right to make it seem that natural. But yeah, to me, I don't think Wong Kar-Wai is purposely drenching his characters in certain colors of lighting or purposely having colors throughout certain areas, you know, as like a theme or as like a character trait or as like an emotional response or anything. I think he's just filming in areas that
are beautiful.
That has a lot of this cool look. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of that comes from. I think his stylization comes from how the camera moves and that choppy frame rate and how he chooses to block scenes. I think he's very visually striking as a director, but I don't think I would lump him in as saying like, what's his directing style like? Very vivid colors, like that's not what would come to mind to me.
Big agree. That little snippet that I had read beforehand really set me, like, started me out thinking that he was gonna be a lot different. And so, like, the first movie we watched, I kept thinking, well, where's the style that you keep saying? And I although I do see where they're coming from, I do think that that was kind of a missed mark.
I agree. I knew nothing really about Wong Kar-Wai other than he directed Chungking Express, and he's considered like, you know, he's up there as like one of Hong Kong's better directors. And so I just wanted this set because I wanted to see Chungking Express. That was the main, and I'm glad I loved it as much as I did. But getting into his style and stuff, and personally, I love, even though I didn't like Days of Being Wild, there's certain things you could definitely learn from it, and I love his direction style so far. I'm excited to see the last two of this box set, and honestly, I wouldn't mind trying to find some of his other films that aren't included in this box set, because I know he's done several as well. Whether or not they've gotten a U.S. release, we'll see, but I'm excited to check it out. And he did an Ip Man movie. He did The Grandmaster, which was the American version, I think, which is weird to think about. I'd have to look it up. I don't know my Ip Man lore super well, but I want to check it out at some point. But give me a break. Or Toxic Waste.
Yeah.
We have the lemon.
Speaking of toxic.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough flavors to match every movie.
Or just short one movie.
I know.
Okay. Looks like a lemon head.
Cheers. Whoa.
Really?
Huh?
It's not that sour.
Not for you? Whoa. Oh, God. That was the worst one.
It's not that sour, but it's really making my mouth water. Look at your poor eyes.
I know, this is super sour. This tastes a lot better than that mystery one. So I would eat this one over that mystery one again, but I think this one's more sour than the mystery one.
I don't think it's sour.
That's weird. Because I didn't think that first one we had was sour at all.
Oh, I did.
I know you did. Our sour buds must be pretty different. Yeah, not bad. In the mood for love.
Consuming more than one within a brief time may cause irritation of the mouth. Sensitive individuals should not consume this product. Not for children under 3 years.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Were you not recording?
I think it died on me.
Well, I guess we'll be utilizing the GoPro for that. We didn't bite into it for the Toxic Waste Center.
No, we didn't.